Bum, 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 bum. Welcome back, my friend. This is BJJBrick Quick. My name is Byron. This is your quick Jiu-Jitsu podcast. I recently just hit 20 years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. 20 years. Last episode, talked about the first 5 years. Now, I don't really know how my years break down. I'm going to assume I got my purple belt within that time. That happened. I got blue belt around, I think, 2 years or so. I'd say this, because I said it last time. All the blue belts today, no disrespect to my training partners and my coaches back then, all of today's blue belts that I train with, or that have rolled with, are better than I was when I was a blue belt. So if you're a blue belt and you feel like, hey, I'm not that good, you're better than old Byron was when he was a young man and a blue belt. It's just a better training environment. I was fighting too much and not rolling. Knowledge was extremely limited. So you guys are doing great out there. Keep your heads up. Let's talk about the next chunk. I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily say 5 to 10 years, but let's just break it down. Purple belt and brown belt. And as you go through your years, you might see some gradual changes. You might see some changes over the week of what you prefer, what you don't like. Purple belt, I was a guard player. Brown belt, I also like to play guard. I think purple belt, I like to play guard because my favorite submissions were there. I had a submission-oriented guard. I didn't even really care to sweep. The problem with sweeping, when you do a sweep, then you have to pass the guard. And that's a lot of hard work, especially when you're a guard player. I'd fire off lots of submissions. My best submission at purple and brown was probably my triangle choke. My best submission at blue belt was armbar from guard, and that eventually changed into triangle choke. I got a Ryan Hall DVD series back then, and it was really good. Ryan Hall was a purple belt back, obviously before he brown and black belt and UFC fighter, but like he as a purple belt, he was triangling everybody, all these black belts and stuff, and eventually he came out with this DVD series about triangle chokes. Me and Gary and a few other amigos picked it up and trained with it. We got really good triangles. Good triangle defense too, but the main thing was I could triangle basically whoever I rolled with, who was a similar skill level. That was fun. So my guard work was plan A. The cool thing about that was it was super easy to get to guard. Just pull guards. My takedowns, neglected. Indeed they were. Indeed. Not only did I want to work on takedowns, I didn't want to be on top. I want to pull guard and triangle you. I don't do that in the first minute. Then we'll slow things down a little bit, I talked about last time about fighting versus rolling. I think I was still a little bit in the fighting camp, but I did enjoy tapping out people who were better than me at jiu-jitsu, and I didn't really mind, getting my guard passed by them and trying to recover guard and dealing with some struggles with that. It's just part of the game. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to develop, as a purple belt and a brown belt, I wanted to develop triangle choke specifically that I could triangle black belts with. Not all black belts, obviously, but I think the triangle was the first submission I would tap a black belt out with. But that's what I wanted. And I knew that there'd be a lot of, obstacles on the way. And it would, so when my triangle didn't work, I would evaluate it. I wouldn't get mad about it. I wouldn't consider it a loss. I would say, how'd this get broken down? It's a better approach. Coming into this, I think eventually I will take my triangle game, which was most. I also had a in purple belt. I played rubber guard, which I eventually took that out of the game entirely. I played it for over, I think, 2 years, maybe closer to a year, And I looked at it, and I'm like, I'm only triangling, or only using rubber guard successfully against lower belts. Maybe it's not my thing. Not saying the guard doesn't work for anybody, but for me, it was a way to pick on the lower belts. Throw it out of the system. My triangle choke, and I would put this in the last 10 years, but I'll talk about it today because it's kind of how much I've stressed that my game was guard-oriented, not sweeps, submission, and that submission was geared around triangle chokes. And maybe back takes. You do a lot in 20 years, my friend. Sorry. But eventually, I will take my triangle choke and rack up not any lower back injuries, but a lot of lower back soreness, days where it's hard to put my shoes on. And it was kind of a consistent thing as some people that would defend the triangle choke would defend it in a way that would cause me pain in my lower back. And I evaluated the whole thing, and I was like, man, I cannot deal with lower back pain, once a month, once every 2 months, even from some people defending this. I quit doing triangle chokes. Just quit altogether. And I'll talk about this, what I prefer now to do as a black belt, but it's not guard work. And I wonder if I would have been able to keep my triangle game in a healthy manner. I didn't feel like I was injured. If I would enjoy guard a lot more. Probably. At least I would have done it longer. But I'll talk about my black belt game in the next episode. And it's not, I haven't been a black belt for 10 years, but I've been a black belt for a little while. And we'll pick that up. So we continue to talk about my 20 years. I know some of you out there have been trained longer. That's cool. Some of you are newer. Welcome to the Jiu-Jitsu community. If you're really new to Jiu-Jitsu, go to BjjBrick.com. Check out the shop there. There's an audiobook, Your First Year of BJJ. I'll walk you through all the little hurdles you might run into your first year. Once you get through that year having a good time and being good at Jiu-Jitsu, as good as you can for training in a year. Hope you have a great day, my friend, and stay sweaty.